return to open session. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. We are back together. All right, so you sent the stuff out to all departments. Do you hear anything back from anybody?
I did not. Did y'all hear anything back? No.
Okay.
I had a question from Keith Monroe on the, just methodology of, what we selected.
For his department?
Yeah.
Okay. That's based off of the request. That's what was deducted off of their request. Look at their M&O and capital.
We just did all of their M&O and all their capital.
Yeah, just pulled all the increases out, left it flat. With the exception of the medical employer benefit increase. Okay, Danny, did you have a chance to check your formulas?
We did, yeah. We had one little change, just a rounding issue. So we lowered, it was in the reserve.
Okay.
So we fixed the rounding so that the total here matched the total. It was off $1. So, but other than that, yeah, everything was fine.
We did, Janice and I sat down with ours, and we need to, the way we handled ours, we backed out the 2 positions, but we also still had Rick in, when we were paying a third of Rick, so we can take that out. And I didn't bring my, I just brought these finance sheets. If you wanna look at that. The way we picked up numbers. It appeared like he was still in there.
They paid for it from the shoulders up.
So the 47, go back to the other. That second line where I deducted it. Oh, maybe it did zero. Maybe we're fine.
Yeah, so that rolls it back to the salary stayed the same.
Okay. But he was in it, right?
So I think what Christy's saying is her salary would be
So you want to lower it.
lowered from last year to the tune of,
We basically
The
needed,
split
like
for
when we're
Rick.
looking at our budgets, he's, no, that's not a position anymore in our office. So we should deduct it by 28 and then the 75. I think it's just the way it's showing there.
Because you deducted him, but you added 2, so it netted.
It netted.
7.
Mm-hmm.
And keep it the same if that was the salary portion of that position. We lower the 641 by the 28,406.
Mm-hmm. Because our two positions is more than 47. 75 plus fringe.
So then.
So maybe we just take the 75 plus fringe.
Right, to change that 47,000 to 75.
Right.
Okay, so remind me why the two new positions weren't down here.
I don't remember.
Okay.
You said they
Jimmy's
weren't
did.
I think it's because they weren't
Well, they're not
new
really new,
positions,
yeah.
they were in a different fund.
Right. They were two coming. They're going to go to resale, but they have to be in current tax to be trained. And that's just the auditors and how they view resale. If you're not actually working on resale.
Okay, so we're not
Is it not
gonna,
going?
So let's just look at ourselves.
Hopefully that fixes it.
Okay.
I'll let you know.
thank you. So, okay. You're wanting to decrease it by the 2806. And just not be funded for the 75 leave that on the watch list.
Sorry about that. We just didn't catch it until we
Yeah, that's why we do this. We catch these things. 75 819.
I don't remember.
72, I think.
Okay, so that lowers your salary. All right. Highlight it. Anybody else want some more money?
Is that DA opinion about the social services affect their budget? Is there money put in there for that?
I believe they indicated that that was not going to be an increase to their annual budget because they were going to shift around positions. The only impact on their budget was going to be the upfront expense that they were gonna use potential lapse money from this year to take care of it, so I don't think we need to, I don't recall us needing to address their budget related to that particular project.
Good to know.
So I'm assuming that change that we just did, we would just move that 33 or whatever, I can't see it, up into reserve.
For sure.
Are we comfortable, are we comfortable with this as a recommendation to begin July 1?
I need to take a vote on that one.
Well, I mean, is there further
I
discussion?
got you. I don't have anything else.
Just wanted to point out that the notes, all of this is tied to the requests. So like we're working off the request. So I get a lot of questions. Are we keeping the budget the same as this year? Which is kind of way over here in this far column that's not seen, but when people ask how does it compare to this year's budget? Why is this department increased? Here's the net increase, decrease, but the notes are only reflective of what we backed out of their requests. So I didn't know if you wanted a separate note that shows what the difference between this year's budget and last year's budget, or if this is good enough.
I think a separate note will be handy for the presentation to budget board in case any budget board members have questions. It would be helpful to have that information.
And some of those where there's on the net increase and decrease though, like using us for example, that net increase is purely because people switch from single to family. So it's not like we got an increase to our budget, it's just that, I mean, I guess indirectly we did, but it's because people switch from single to family. So we might make a note on some of those if around the horseshoe those questions pop up. If that's easy to figure that out.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes back to that separate set of notes. Sorry, here's the notes that show what increased. And so if it's all benefits, it shows just all the benefits that increased.
So for instance, on yours, if that was all your increase was benefit related, then I would, and I'll get with Danny, but I would think on the notes, it would say employer premium increase of $475,000, medical increase $25,000, total $500,000, and then there's the breakdown. Part of it is because of the change in the actual premium, and then the other part is a change in what you're anticipating membership will be into the plan.
Yeah, that was just pulling actuals based in February, so but for the employee benefits, I mean, ours dropped 13 grand, for example, so.
Looking at your bottom numbers, looking at original ask versus what's on the watch list now, that's what's on that sheet, right?
Correct. Yeah. The notes are working off the request. Yeah.
So that
should show you.
so that negative 22 is original ask overage. Is that what I'm looking at? I'm looking at your budget note sheet.
Okay.
Yeah, the very bottom number.
Yeah.
And then the current watch list is at 10.4.
Yeah. So if you add up, go across here and add these up. lot of the adjustments that were made. Equals this column here, and then where it went from there, whether it's a recommendation or we just added it to the watch list or just didn't do anything with it. So
And, excuse me, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do think on the add to BET watch list, some of those items we specifically were like, yo, this needs to be on there. And then some of it was like, well, maybe we'll put that on the watch list. I think just because it may be in the BET watch list column right here doesn't necessarily mean that July 1 on our first BET watch list, that it'll be there, but it'll be notated so we can discuss that, whether to put it on there. It's just preliminary. We think this is kind of an example of what the watch list will look like.
I just kind of took the difference between your two numbers to see what we would have to have in a tax base to generate the difference of that. Because the county, of course, we're only going to operate all about 10 cents out of a dollar. So I kind of wanted to give you guys an understanding of the difference, what it would take to generate that. Yeah. It's just over 10 billion in market value, which would equate to, based upon the current values of property, it would be 97 new Omni hotels or 24 Devon towers. Just to give you some understanding.
Well, it's gonna be a busy.
Just to give you some understanding of the tax base that would have to be there to fund that amount.
And with the supply chain issues.
Now, I'm assuming when you said 90 new Omnis, you were not considering them being in a TIF.
Correct. That would be if they were taxable but not in a TIF. That would be correct.
Not yet.
True.
Where's the reserve? What's the reserve?
1.8. 59. 57.
I did my share to contribute to that. Would like that noted.
Noted.
yes, we appreciate it.
The 28. Play my
We will footnote that, Rick.
Thank you.
I appreciate that information, Mike. That was,
It's true.
being able to put it into
when we're
terms
looking
like
at
that.
what we're
that's-
pushing off.
Yeah.
Our skyline would look a lot different.
Yeah.
Skyline.
We'll talk about it big leagues.
That's a bunch.
Considering it took, 5 years to build Devon Tower and 3 to build Omni.
All right. Is there any more discussion? If not, is there a motion to recommend to Budget Board the adoption of a fiscal year 22-23 budget that is reflective of the numbers on the BET recommendation sheet that we are looking at?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Karen, is that clear enough, you think?
Yeah,
Stated.
because,
Okay.
we'll
That'd be
attach them.
Yeah. Okay. All right, we got a motion and a second. All those in favor say, I'm sorry?
You want me to call the vote?
Yes, please.
District 2,
Aye.
District 3,
Aye.
County Clerk,
Yes.
Treasurer,
Yes.
Court Clerk,
Yes.
Assessor,
Yes.
Sheriff,
Yes.
District 1.
Yes. Okay, that was item number 9. Karen, you'll get that on Budget Board for us, please, and attach that document. That would be great. We've got one more item left on our agenda here, item 10, discussion possible action regarding information received from County Election Board that the special county question can be placed on all state ballots. So return $80,000 to general fund reserve. I think that's just.
We're not
on
gonna
here
turn
as
it down, so,
information.
yeah.
Yeah.
I make a motion, we accept the 80,000.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it. Any citizens that wish to participate? Seeing none, making sure we did hit all of our agenda items. It looks like we did. Board comments, District 2,
No, thank you.
District 3. Clerk?
Special thanks to Micah, Karen, and Charlotte, who worked really hard on this process. Micah took the lead on it. I think it went really well this year, and a lot of work goes on behind the scenes, working with the departments, and we really appreciate it before it ever gets to here. So,
Yeah.
I express my appreciation to them.
Thank you, ladies.
Treasurer?
Actually, my thanks was gonna go to Danny and our chairman, Mr. Compton, just for another successful unanimous recommendation. It was
Thank
good.
you.
And
It's a
you
little
guys-
different than it used to be, huh?
Yeah, yeah. We've ironed out some stuff.
Yeah. Court clerk?
I want to thank you all for welcoming me back. Welcome. Can't even say the word. Thanks for,
You're all teared up.
Welcome
Thanks
back.
for the
Really
welcome back.
emotional about being back.
and also thanks to Amy for laying good groundwork for me to. Not totally up to speed, but I'm getting there. So, but you all do great work, and proud to be a part of this group.
Yeah, for sure.
Assessor?
I do want to commend you guys for your work. Without that, we would not be on the same page together. I also want to say thank you to the rest of the boards for supporting the countywide ESRI agreement. I think that that's going to build a great future for our county. We're already starting to see possible dividends of that now. So, yeah, really looking forward to that.
Sure. Well, kind of like Danny, I want to reiterate a thanks to staff that's really handled a lot of this stuff behind the scenes. There's no way that we could have done it without the information that you guys have poured over and made sure was correct. Beyond that, Danny, I mean, driving us on this,
Yeah.
you know, you're at the wheel down there and, you know, making sure all the formulas are right and doing all that. And I know you and I will probably visit and you help make sure that I have information that I need on the notes and stuff. And I really appreciate that. And everybody around the table, I think to Christy's point, I mean, this is a good group. I think every one of you have the county and the county citizens' best interest at heart. And we really have some tough discussions, but we all do it professionally and come to a good agreement usually. And I really appreciate everybody's hard work. On a separate note, I will just mention that we had policy and governance earlier today. There was an executive session. IT is going to have an item, I believe, on budget board to request some money from general fund reserve. They did not want it to appear that they were wanting to circumvent the process of coming here and asking for money, but just because of the timing, it's they really need to do that. So I just wanted to take a moment to mention that as well. So, all right. That's all I have.